Okay, let's kick it off. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lionel. I will be the host of today's webinar around the art of podcasting and vlogging. I'm super excited to introduce my three guest speakers, very talented content creators. Introducing first, she comes out of Austria, but is based in Amsterdam, Agnes Bilik. Behind me, you can see the great, the unique voice of Trump in the Netherlands second, Greg Shapiro. And last but not least, the dear Natasha, a professional vlogger. Okay, so Greg, please join me on stage. We will keep the safe distance. And yes, I forgot to mention something. Due to coronavirus outbreak, safety is something very important that the student hotel care about. And actually, we are live from the Parout Theater, in Amsterdam City Hotel. So thank you, the student hotel, for hosting this event. And we only have one very special guest. It's my friend, Holly the elephant. So please say hi, Holly. Hi. Okay, let's start. Greg, the mic is for you now.
Okay. Safe distance. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, I said I couldn't perform for just no audience. So yeah, we have people in the background and one stuffed elephant, which is great. Thank you, Student Hotel, for making this happen. Basically, theaters are closed, but we are lucky enough to be in the Amsterdam Het Parool Theater, which is a great space, by the way. And we are doing it with a very limited amount of people, safe social distancing, frequent hand washing, and face masks as well. You've got your face mask. That's good. Yeah, right. I would share worst practices of how to run a YouTube channel based on my own experience. Of course, the good part is the Netherlands second video, which was so fantastic, so great. And when Trump was sworn in, I got the phone call. Do you want to work on this small video we're making for the TV met Lubach? And yes. And so that became the Netherlands second video. Bad news is, that at first I was not credited in the info on the YouTube video, but then they updated it. And by then, apparently, if you update too much about your video after you post it the first time, then the algorithm doesn't like it. And anyway, the video has so many views online. I think it's up to 27 million views on YouTube alone. And according to the production team, they made how much money? Not as much as you might think. I think it was in the, 4 figures, maybe 5, but not 6. Anyway, but so, wait, 5 figures. Wait, 6. Why do they say 5 figures, 6 zeros? Anyway, 6 zeros is a million, right? No, certainly not a million. I think they made upwards of 10,000 euros, and that was about it. Right. So it's a lot of money, indeed, if every video you make can get that many views. But anyway, I have found out that if you're going to have a YouTube channel, you're mostly doing it for the love of doing it, and I have found it an emotional pitfall to get hung up on how much money you're making or even how many views. And the metrics are all different and the analytics are different, but we can get into that in a minute. But anyway, I thought after the 2017 video of Netherlands second, let's go back for a moment to the way I started with my first ever viral video was from 2004. It was called the Florida voting machine video, based on the 2004 presidential election. And that video actually went viral via email only because there was no YouTube in 2004. You can see a theme now that the videos that are most successful are the ones where my face is not shown. And yeah, that's what they told me at school. You've got a great face for radio. But so the timeline continues ever since 2004 and then starting a YouTube channel in like 2005 and 2006. The goal was to try to recreate the success of this viral video. I was actually getting paid to make content for mobile phones in 2007, 8, 9, and then the crisis hit. And people only in 2010 sort of figured out like, oh, wait, I could watch not just like this, but I could watch like this. And apparently, this became especially popular, this move, once people realized like, oh, I can watch porn on my phone. And that's when phones actually started getting much bigger. But anyway, so I did a YouTube workshop in around 2010, and I learned that, this is from the YouTube people themselves, making a video is half the work. Congratulations, you've made it, you've uploaded it. Now, there's another whole, 50% of work that is, tagging, annotating, adding end cards. They'll walk you through it. Again, that's best practices, and you can find that out on YouTube. But my worst practice is that I've learned quickly I am not any good at the back end. So I was advised to search for a managed channel network, or MCN, and I joined one called Zoom In Studios, Zoom In Networks, in 2015, and now I'm with a different one, which is under OD Media. As soon as 2017 rolled around, then there was a big shakeup at YouTube, and one of the things was managed channel networks. No, you shouldn't work with them. So again, we're kind of back to square one a little bit, and it's all about having your videos be seen and making yourself sexy to the algorithm. And there are different versions. Is the algorithm pleased or not? It's hard to tell. From week to week, month to month, it seems like the preferences kind of change. So the bad news for me was that, after launching my own YouTube show called The United States of Europe, which is like a daily show for the EU, I actually had to sort of stop doing that for a bit. And then once I changed from managed channel networks, then my subscriber numbers dropped. I hit 15,000, and then it dropped, and then it dropped. And anyway, now I'm climbing back to 15,000. So a happy ending for now. But anyway, as I'm learning, as long as sort of 10% of your subscribers are watching, giving it a view, and the watch minutes are okay, then you have to consider that voldoende. Then it's sort of mission accomplished. And so far, it looks like I'm getting back to the point where 1.5 thousand views is good enough for a channel with 15,000 subscribers. And hey, it keeps growing, and it's organic. Thank you very much. So I guess I have to be proud. Anyway, that's about my 5 minutes. But I thought I would take questions if you'd like. I can tell you the embarrassing stories, the horror stories, the times that YouTube has made me cry. So do we have questions? And should I just grab my own laptop? I'm in the Zoom chat as well. But anyway. Here's Lionel here's Lionel with more. Tell them what they've won. Oh yeah. Okay. I can just walk right back here. Hey everybody. I'm still keeping distance. Good. Let's see if I can get my own.
Thank you so much, Greg. Okay. We will run at the end of this talk like a Q&A, and please, we want this session to be interactive.
Okay. Yeah. Save your questions then. Is that what we're saying? Yes. Save your questions. Okay. That's a bit of it for me. So next speaker, please. I'm just going to disinfect this microphone.
Thank you, Greg. And next, I would like to invite Agnes to come on stage, and she walk us through her journey as a professional podcaster.
Hey everyone, so I'm Agnes and I have the Raw and Real podcast, and I want to tell you a little bit about how it all started for me and the lessons that I learned along the way. So 3 years ago, I came to the Netherlands for love, and I started working here for a Dutch company as a corporate recruiter. And the way how I experienced the job wasn't at all so exciting and fun. So I had to recruit every month for the same position, and I didn't have any creativity in my role. And I was also strongly micromanaged. So I was in a very superficial environment, and I totally lost my drive to do anything. So I felt very stuck, and I was looking for a way out. And that's when I decided to go back to university and develop again. And during my master, I wrote my master thesis at the Department for Entrepreneurship. So I had to go out there to startup events to meet founders that I could interview them about the fear of failure and how it influenced them. And that's actually the moment when my world really started changing, because a totally new world opened up for me. And the interviews that I did for research totally changed my perspective of the world. So some of the interviews I heard founders talking about their fears of investor meetings that would come up, or an entrepreneur told me the story that he didn't contact a guy because he had an imposter syndrome and he just felt inferior. And then I was like, wait a minute, if this person is feeling this way, but acting this way, then maybe I'm capable of more than I initially thought. So I did a basic research online and checked what kind of podcasts were out there. And as I couldn't find anything that would show more the vulnerable side of entrepreneurship, I just decided to start something by myself because I really wanted to share that experience with other people. And I don't have any background in radio or audio editing or anything like that. So I just started watching YouTube tutorials about how to start a podcast and what kind of equipment I would need and how it all worked. And I decided to start a podcast because it's a very flexible medium. It can be consumed everywhere. You can just listen to it while you're cycling on your bike or while you're doing the laundry. And it's a medium that allows you to build a relationship with someone and have also a very intimate conversation. And the nice part about it is you can pretty much get in contact with anyone in the world and just talk to them. And plus, I think that it has a lot of growth potential as well in Europe. And if you just want to start tomorrow, you can also just use your phone and record yourself with your voice app. So that's very easy. And the journey since then wasn't at all what I expected. So my first misconception was that it will be really hard to get good guests, but it will be really easy to build up a listener audience. But it's actually totally not the case. It's way more the other way around. So also, if you don't have a lot of experience, it's really easy to get in touch with good speakers and make them enthusiastic about your podcast. But it's way harder to build up an audience and a listener base, especially if you don't have any previous leverages of public activities. Of course, it can go faster if you have like a lot of money and leverage that you can invest in ads, or you can, or some kind of people can help you out. But it just takes a lot of time. And the second misconception that I had, that it's all about statistics and download numbers. But probably when you're starting out, you won't be Joe Rogan and you won't have 1 million downloads. It's just really important to keep the context here. These kind of people, the really important podcasters, they're doing this for years and years. And that's often just like what we forget. And I think it's way more important in the beginning to just see the impact and really take into account the feedback that you're getting from the people around you. So for example, for me, in the first 2 months, I received a message from one of the people that I interviewed that he got an application through the podcast because someone heard him on the podcast and applied. And that was just super powerful. And it was really like, oh, I do have a little bit of reach. And that really, kept me going. And the third misconception that I had is, well, you see a podcast, someone uploads it, it's like in 1 hour conversation, and you have the feeling, okay, it's just like a few hours per week that you have to put in there, and that's it. But if you're recording yourself on your phone and just like uploading that without editing or creating promotional material for it, that might be true. But in most cases, if you're really like researching guests, if you are preparing for the interview, you're recording it, you have to edit it, you have to come up with titles, you have to create promotional material and try to engage with people about it. It takes so much more time than it seems. But at the same time, doing this has enriched my life so much more. So it's one of the most meaningful things that I've ever done. You can get in contact with anyone in the world, and you just stop seeing everyone as title or age. You just realize that we're just all humans with emotions. And that's a really beautiful thing, because you can just connect to everyone. And it's just the most meaningful thing if you see that the content that you're creating matters and it really changes something in people's lives. So that's something that I can just highly recommend to anyone. And personally for me, so when I started this journey, I wouldn't think that I would be sitting here a year later. So when you start a journey, you never know where it will lead. And if you really start believing in yourself and seeing your own infinite potential, you'll find out that there are no limits to what you can achieve. Thanks.
Wow, super insightful, but I think you can stay a bit.
All right.
So, I mean, it's quite an inspiring journey.
Thank
You're
you.
still like a very young professional podcaster.
I am.
And what's your dream about? Like, what would you like to achieve in the next 3 years?
So what I really want to achieve, I know what it's like if you're stuck in a job that you really hate. And when you just don't have the feeling that you want to get up, and you just, again, don't have a drive behind it. And what I really want to show people with my podcast is the people that are following their dreams and they're actually doing it, they also have fears and they also have insecurities, but they just jump in the water. And that's what I really want to give to everyone, and give them more drive and show them the possibilities. And it's scary to try out something new. It's also scary for me to try out new things. But that's where you really grow, and that's a great feeling to have.
Okay, thank you, Agnes. I'm pretty sure there will be plenty of questions later on for you. And now I would like to welcome on stage Natasha. She's a passionate creator and avid traveler. And together with a partner, she set up a YouTube channel, The Traveling Foxes. And today, Natasha will walk us through like what it takes to create and grow a YouTube channel.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Oh, this is working. Okay. So I have a presentation for you guys. It's going to be short because Lionel basically gave me less than 10 minutes to do an intro on blogging. So it's a very short time, given that YouTube is such a huge space in the topic. But I'll try to make this quick and save your questions for later. Okay. So many of you guys here are probably thinking of starting your YouTube channel, or probably you already have a YouTube channel and you want to grow it. So before we get into the practical side of things, I want to ask you one question first. Why? Why do you guys want to start a YouTube channel in the first place? So it's kind of like starting a new business or endeavor, right? And I can't ask you guys one by one what your reason is, but there are 3 typical reasons why people start a YouTube channel. And one is probably you want to expand your audience. Say you already have a large audience. You're probably an influencer or a Kardashian who already has an audience and want to use YouTube as a platform to engage with them. But that's very rare. But the second one is brand building. So for example, you're a company and you want to promote your business or your services, and you just want to build brand awareness. Definitely YouTube is a great platform for that. And then the final one, this is the most common. People think that they can earn from YouTube. And it's true, it is possible, but it's a very, very long journey, and it's very tough to earn a lot from YouTube advertising, but it is possible. So when you guys figure out your big why, then it's easy for you to focus on things that are important and how you can achieve those goals. And now we go to the practical question, which is, what are you going to make? What is your content about? And if you're starting out, it can be really confusing because there are a lot of topics and content in YouTube. By now, there are about 1.3 billion videos, I think, on YouTube. And so how do you find that topic or that niche? Well, first you have to really think about yourself. What are you most passionate about? And why do you want to create these videos, and how can you be more consistent about it? And we have to think of YouTube as a search engine. So the key here is research on the topics that you want to create. And if you want to be found, then you have to learn what people are searching for. So key is research and learning exactly what you want to create or to pursue. And then the next practical question is, how do you package yourself? Because as you know, there are so many YouTubers out there. There are 30 million YouTube channels. And so how do you stand out from the competition? So it's important when you start a YouTube channel, you package yourself, you brand yourself. So for example, this guy, Los LeBlanc, he, as you can see already, he's a travel vlogger. You can see from his banner with his photo and what he does. Even the name is quite memorable. I don't even know his full name, but people know him as Los LeBlanc. And also, when you start creating your videos, you need to think of your theme or your style. So, and that goes with creating your thumbnails, because if you think of your YouTube channel, it's like your website, and you have to give that really good first impression so that people will subscribe and keep watching your videos. And from the first get-go, they already know what you do. Okay. So in saying that, so those are the practical sides. And if you want to start your own YouTube channel, you have to ask yourself those questions first. Now, I want to share my personal lessons as a vlogger. So I started my YouTube channel back in 2017 together with a partner because we loved traveling. Traveling was our passion, and we knew that sharing videos and experiences would be something meaningful for us. So I started that back in 2017, and boy, was it was tough at first because learning it through YouTube is a lot of hit and miss. You know, like what Greg said, sometimes it can even make you cry looking at your views not going up. So I'm going to give you a bit of a snapshot of my journey because I love analytics, and it's also always really nice to get some insights from these analytics. And as you can see, in the first 2 years, 2017 to 2019, we were even barely hitting 1,000 views for our videos, right? And then something cool happened. In mid-2019, 1 or 2 of our videos suddenly got some traction. And because of that, it had a trickle effect. And we got more viewers and more subscribers, but also we started uploading more consistently. And that really had an uptick in our growth as a YouTuber. And again, it's still spikes, goes up and down. It's never consistent, but you just have to keep pushing and being patient about it. Now,
hold a minute, please. Can you come back to the previous graph?
Of course.
How do you explain this very big peak? It was in 2019.
Yes, 2019. That was we just had a tick on one of our videos. Like suddenly, 2 of our videos got some traction, And when we were looking at the analytics, it was because it was the Malaysia video and I forgot the other video, but it was more of a recommended video. So people, it was a trending topic, and suddenly one of our older videos just got recommended, and that drove a lot of traffic to our video and to our channel.
And do you understand what were the triggers?
Yeah, so there were number one, the tags, the SEOs, and later it's one of my key lessons as well as a YouTuber, is to really understand how it works. So really looking at the keywords, the analytics, the SEO side, and that's how you can get recommended and get more viewers.
Okay, and maybe for the audience, can you quickly define what is a SEO?
So SEO is a search engine optimization. So it's, again, like I said earlier, YouTube is a search engine platform. And when you go into YouTube, most of the times you search for something, right? It could be, I don't know, photography tips, or where should I travel next, or best travel destinations. So it's important to learn these keywords and these tags. And earlier I said research is very important, because once you figure out what people are searching for and you create content based out of that, and then you tag your videos accordingly, then it gives YouTube basically pushes this content to the audience, to the users. So that's kind of the nutshell of SEO. Obviously, it's more technical than that, but yeah.
Thank you so much for this side, because I think it's very important these days to understand that to have a good content is a must, but not enough. Exactly. We are really living in a data-driven world, and it's important as a podcaster, blogger, or content creator to look at analytics.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And which gives me to my top 5 lessons. As a vlogger, when you're starting out, definitely start small. We were only using our iPhone when we did our first few videos, and it's not true that you need all these fancy equipment to make a good production and to make a popular YouTube channel. The second, obviously, is create great content, because that's the only way for you to stand out. And third is be consistent. So we saw that we had more growth when we started being more consistent in uploading our videos. And fourth is investing in your brand. This doesn't mean that you need a fancy logo, but you definitely need something that would be memorable. It could be you as a personality, your authenticity. It could be how you present your channel or yourself. So definitely invest in your brand. Fifth and final one, like as mentioned, is to learn the technical side of YouTube. SEO, the analytics. YouTube Creator actually has really good analytics where you can find exactly how people are being retained, where are they watching, where are they dropping off. So it's really good to look into that. And my final piece, of course, it takes time to grow an audience. As you can see, it took me 2 years to grow it and still growing. But for you, it might take months. So yeah, takes patience and luck sometimes. That's it for now, and
beautiful.
Open for questions, of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So we have a few questions on the chat, and make some noise for Natasha. Woo! We will address the do's and don'ts, and then we will answer the questions. So I already wrote down a few of them. And for the do's and don'ts, I would like my guest speakers maybe to react. I prepare something, but I won't share it by matter of time. One of them that we discussed it, Agnes, together is around the equipment, because many times you might think that that's a successful creation might require the very last model of camera, microphone, and so on and so forth. So can you share a few words like to you, like what is needed just to start, to give a start? Safe distance.
Sure. So again, there's not much what you actually need when you start out. So I think especially if your focus is on sound, that's the thing that I would invest in a little bit. But if you can already check online on Amazon, there are a lot of recommendations when it comes to microphones, and you can already buy one for around 50 euros, which is not a lot. Like Natasha already mentioned, you can mainly record with the camera of your phone. But if you just like want to get started tomorrow, you can also just use your iPhone, the voice app. And there are a lot of free programs what you can use to edit the audio as well. So one of them is Audacity, for example.
Thank you. I have another one, a second one, but it's more like for our friend Greg, because Greg is a multi-talented guy and a stand-up comedian at Boom Chicago. And to me, what I believe, I'm kind of a content creator in my way. I create events and programs to connect communities. But Greg has a very special talent on stage, and I think a unique identity. And I think that's a very like common factor of successful podcasters and bloggers, the ability to create your own identity, to be yourself and not to copycat others. So
Definitely.
What does it mean for you?
For show business, I have learned that the most important thing is to be authentic. And if you can fake that, then you've got it made. That's but to be authentic, is this good if I'm sitting here, or should I stand a bit forward? Yeah,
we can see you, I think.
I'm lit oddly. Okay. I'm gonna come down here, folks. Yeah.
The American taller than Dutchies.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, that was part of my whole brand that I created. Yeah, it was the American Netherlander. So indeed, I came here and I thought, I was always way too tall growing up in United States, and got off the plane in the Netherlands, and I thought, I'm right at home. Because I mean, the Dutch are technically on average the tallest people on the planet. And that's just Dutch culture. The short ones, they didn't make it. So that was, you grow or you drown. That was Dutch history in a nutshell. But anyway, I mean, I've got a couple of questions in general here for like how do you promote yourself and be shameless, even when you are maybe a little humble or embarrassed, or when your last video didn't get as many views as you were hoping. And then, the thing you should do is be shameless and do more shameless self-promotion. But when you're feeling like, when you've got that big voice inside your head saying like, what's the point? You don't deserve viewers, clearly. That is hard. I've actually had to just take a break at some point and actually collaborate, which has been not just good for numbers and seems to make the algorithm happy, but just for your own peace of mind to hear from other people. I have that too. So that you're not the only one, but also to share, worst practice, but also share some best practice as well. But indeed, I mean, consistency, I guess I'll come back to that. I've been playing around with what's the best upload schedule. And I have tried more than once a week. I've tried once a month. At the moment, it seems like once a week, basically, that is okay. Do I have a regular day? Not necessarily. I do have a YouTube live moment every week, which is my sort of professor's office hours, which is Monday evening, 7 p.m. Amsterdam time, which is called Ask Me Anything. And that, just started out with, I announced it, and that's another good question, I guess, which was, how do you build it up? How do you create the buzz before you were even starting it? And honestly, there wasn't much. I just started doing it and I kept consistent with it. YouTube Live is more fun than I would have thought. Questions are coming in. You respond to the chat. The danger is to go too long. It's easy to go for a whole hour, but I try to keep it at just 30 minutes per week. Anyway, but yeah, and to be consistent, I actually took a week off from doing the YouTube Live on Monday nights for the 27th of April, because that was King's Day, and I was drunk. Actually, I was out doing cinematography, videography, and getting research. But anyway, I was also a little drunk. So I skipped a week, and I kind of thought, oh no, there I am not being consistent. But what would happen? Does anyone notice? And indeed, a couple people said like, hey, where were you this week? In the comments to other videos. And yeah, so that was good to know. And so now I'm going back to do that again. And just so you know, if you want to find me, it is youtube.com/Greg Shapiro. That's me. Yeah. Okay.
Excellent, Greg. Natasha, you mentioned something I think important around patience. I mean, my personal story, like I create events or content, and sometimes no one shows up. I should not say it, but it happens, yeah. So hopefully I will follow your guideline, and one day maybe we will have millions of viewers on our events. But maybe a question for you, like I think also like to have something engaging, like you mentioned, like you need some creativity, like good storytelling. So how not to produce something boring? Because sometimes we can listen to some podcasts or watch webinars, which are like 1 hour long, and the guy listen to himself, and it can become boring. So how not to create boring content?
Hello. Yes. So thanks for the question. Yeah, that's a tricky question. And as I said earlier, you really need to know your audience, and you have to kind of figure out the sweet spot between creating too long of a content and too short of a content. So we actually try to make our content between 5 minutes to 10 minutes. 10 minutes max. Sometimes if it's a very, very long or interesting vlog, then it could go up to 15 minutes, but it's very rare. So we try to keep it in a very good duration that people will at least watch for at least 5 minutes. Because again, being a little bit technical again, but the watch time is super important to see in your YouTube analytics. And it kind of gives you that sort of insights of where people are dropping off. So for example, an interesting example would be in our YouTube journey, we tried to do a little introduction, very edited introduction. It was like a 30-second one, and a bit of an introduction again of what we're going to do. So there was a lot of introduction, and we realized that there was a big drop off when we did a lot of these introductions versus our video content, where we just went straight to the content, straight to the bloopers, whatever is interesting. The first 3 seconds, we show the highlights of the video, and then we get into the introduction and kind of give them some sort of nudge of like, this is what we're going to do. And then, like any other story, you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So always think of that.
Excellent.
Just have to flow.
Yeah, excellent. So for the last 10 minutes, we have a bit more time. I'm going to take my computer because there are a few questions popping up for all of you guys. Give me one little second. So it's more like for Agnes and Natasha, the first one. So let's say for Natasha, because you had the mic, that you just gave back. There is Daria, who has a strong desire to start her YouTube channel and podcast. I cannot read all of it, but it's beautiful inside. She's a great host, interviewer, but she doesn't have any particular angle, topic in mind yet. This is the main reason for my, I love it, procrastination. Yeah. Would you recommend to start with something and figure it out on the way, or first wait when I have the clear vision?
Sorry, what is it? Podcast?
She wants to create a YouTube channel or podcast, but she doesn't know the angle or topic yet.
What's the name? Podcast?
No, procrastination. That means you sit on your couch and you just let the days
Procrastination. Go. Okay, got it. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, procrastination. Hey, that's a good one. That's a good name, actually. There you go, podcast stage now. Well, for me personally, it is definitely difficult to figure out your topic or niche, but go with something that you're more comfortable with. Is it here?
Come be in front. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Move. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So go with something you're most comfortable with, and that you can easily talk with. I mean, for example, Agnes just interviewed a person who a topic that she really resonated with. So if you have someone in mind or a topic in mind that you have a really good desire that it will work, then try it out. Again, you're never sure if it's going to be big, but at least you tried it out, and then you can always experiment as you go.
Okay. Yes, please.
So the way how it started for me is I started going to a lot of events and talking to a lot of people, and then I found out these people are amazing and I want to stay there. So at this point, you can still do it virtually and check out virtual events. So let's say to be a business podcast and you want to get in touch with marketeers, then you can just like go to virtual events and check out who's in these kind of events, and then just approach them on LinkedIn and schedule a virtual coffee with them and get to know them better. And then based on that, you can also get a lot of ideas.
Yeah. There's another question for you, Agnes, from SEOs around like creation of audience. What channels did you use to promote your podcast?
Yeah. So to be honest, I don't use any money to promote the podcast, which means that I all just do it over social media. And what I also did a lot and what worked really well was that I was going 4 times a week to all different kinds of events and then talking to a lot of people there. And then everyone always asks the question, hey, what are you doing? And then if you are like a podcaster, they're like, oh, cool, let me check it out. And the biggest thing about a podcast is that it's like word of mouth. So if you check the search engines there, it's really terrible. So mostly it spreads via recommendations. So again, for me, it's mostly social media. And then I did a lot of in-person promotion as well.
And I think you answered the second question of Siors, who mentioned, it's a bit rude, but let's say it. No, it's not rude. I'm kidding. You only have 2 reviews on the podcast app on iTunes, but a great audience. So I think you shared already the key success ingredients. Not everything has to be online, but offline. And I think human connection, I love that because people buy also story and the storyteller himself.
Yeah. So if you want to get a lot of reviews on iTunes, there are certain Facebook groups you can post in, and then you're just going to get a lot of reviews. And that's how I know that a lot of people get many reviews, and I just haven't done that.
Okay. Thank you, Agnes. There is a few questions around like how to create buzz, how to recruit followers. So maybe like Greg with his 15,000 plus followers on a subscriber on YouTube.
Yes.
Beyond amazing content that you produce and publish on a regular basis, what are the other key ingredients for you?
Right. I mean, I think there was the earlier question about how do you create buzz, even shameless self-promotion. You can do events like this, I guess, and just talk about yourself. But oddly, at some point, that I had a logo designed by a friend and had a logo for my name. Once someone told me like, yeah, you have to be the brand. And so, yeah, it felt like, oh God, here we go. But the first feedback that I got, which was someone saying, oh, that's you. Oh, now I know how to find you. You realize that it's just, it's so funny. That's the difference between how you view your own content, and once you start to get that insight into how other people see you. And so, yeah, like you're talking about with, analytics and, at what point do people tune out? You can watch that. And it can be, a shocking look in the mirror. In fact, I shy away from Google Analytics too much or YouTube Analytics. They're very good at telling you like, "Ooh, you lost this many subscribers this week," and then like, "Oh, great! Now I don't want to make anything." So sometimes I have to mute those messages a bit. And then, oh God, every once in a while, YouTube will have a little window that pops up, little survey. How well do you understand the success of your YouTube channel? From very well to not at all. I always click not at all. I don't. And you're Google. You understand me better than I do already. So, I mean, you tell me how well I feel about things and my own YouTube channel. But anyway, sorry, the point was just generating buzz. And I mean, there are technical things to do as well. I'm sure you can schedule a premiere, and you can find all this out on the YouTube Creator and the how-to apps. And again, do that. But I'm here to show you how not to do it. And again, for me, I don't get too caught up in it. I mostly just figure out, what do I want to make and how do I keep it consistent? And I kind of stick with that. And it is helpful, though, to take a plunge and do some self-marketing, self-branding or whatever, and then to realize that, it's effective. That's how people find you. And just the simple trick, which is difficult, but it's simple, is to put yourself on the other side of what if I was looking for me on YouTube, how would I find me? And then you're like, oh yeah, I came up with this creative title. Like, thanks for nothing. That's just call yourself and make it big and loud. And honestly, that's how you find other people as well. So that's my lesson for myself.
So walk in the shoes of the audience.
Yeah.
Don't take yourself maybe too seriously. And analytics are important, but maybe also not the end goal, because it can create discourage you, and maybe like just to run after likes might just be frustrating rather than encouraging. Then we have another question, I think, for Natasha. What the most intense experience you've had by opening up and exposing your vulnerable self up on the internet? Yeah, because it's all about something authenticity and being human.
Yes. So it was, personally for me, it was tough at first, because again, you are taught. When I started with YouTube, we would have a camera in front of us, and we would look at it and be like, what are we going to say? And sometimes you're just blank and you don't really know what to say. And one is you're afraid to make mistakes. So those are the paralyzing fears, I guess, that happens, especially when you're starting out. And that's also one of the things why people quit, first, because they think, oh, I'm not good enough, or, oh, I can't be this consistent, or this is not for me. It's easy to get discouraged. And also with the criticism that you get, honestly, luckily we don't get really bad criticism from our videos, but we do get some sort of these times where our videos don't click as much as our other videos, and that can be really, really discouraging. But again, it really boils down to not quitting, just continue doing what you can and what you do, and just really loving the process. I think that's really, really most important of all.
I think it's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much, Greg, Natasha, and Agnes. Guys behind the screen, we hope you enjoyed it. And I think the very last thought I would like to share with you, when you want to start something, just connect with guys who've been through it. And in general, if you're kind, polite, and energetic, maybe they will certainly help you. I know Agnes does it a lot, but I think it's very important to work with your community, with people who've been through it before. Okay, so the Student Hotel, thanks again for hosting this event in Amsterdam City. Yeah, a bit of advertising, branding. Woo! Thanks, Beno and Theo, for making it happen. And hope to see you soon for a next chapter around storytelling. Bye-bye.